January the 2nd, 2007. We'd like to begin with a prayer by Pastor Jim Biswell from the Wesleyan Church. Pastor, would you like to lead us in prayer?
Dear God, we want to take this opportunity to say thanks for allowing us the privilege to be here tonight. Looking back over our shoulders to 2006, we want to say a special thanks to you for protecting our community from any major disaster. And as we look forward to this coming year, I ask that your special blessings and that you would be the special guest to the mayor and each of these councilmen and women tonight. May the churches in this community also take a stronger appeal and do more to reach our community and to influence it for right. Now, may you be the special guest here tonight, and we give your name the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Roll call, Tracy.
Arbogast.
Here.
Garnis. Gisselbeck. Mr. Heller is absent. Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Meisenheimer.
Here.
Solberg. Walder.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
And York.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Agenda item number 1 is a motion to approve the minutes of the City Council meeting that was held on December the 18th of 2006. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Alderman Johnson. Is there a second? Seconded by Alderwoman Walder. Any additions or corrections? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Agenda item number 2 is going to be moved to to the next council meeting, so we'll go on to agenda item number 3. Ordinance number 06-30, amending the zoning district boundaries by the rezoning of Lot 1, Marvin Addition, from R2 single-family attached residential to a C3 highway commercial district. And we'll begin with the second reading with Sarah.
Ordinance amending zoning district boundaries by rezoning certain real property from R2 single-family attached residential district to C3 highway commercial district.
We'll begin with the public hearing. And Sarah, would you like to begin that, please?
Sure. Good evening. Vince Lubin of Lubin Properties owns Lot 1 of Marvinette Addition, and he has petitioned the city to rezone his property from its current designation of R2, which is attached single-family residential, to a C3 highway commercial district. And this is an approximately 3-acre lot, and it's located on the northeast corner of 19th Street and 1st Avenue Northeast, along the extension of 1st Avenue, which isn't improved right now all the way. The property in question would meet all of the requirements for the C3 zone, with only one exception, and that is that the existing building that's on site there, which is currently a vacant building, doesn't meet the setback requirement for the C3 zone. In other respects, it meets the frontage and the size requirements. The location is probably more appropriately zoned C3, because we expect that there will be quite a bit of traffic there with the extension of 1st Avenue North and 19th Street. Rezoning would allow a type of development which is more appropriate in a high traffic area. The Plan Commission reviewed this and made findings that the lot is currently adjacent to C3 zone. Put the zoning map up here. This is the site, which is currently R2, and it's adjacent to the C3 to the south. And that only problem is the setback on the existing building. The Plan Commission recommended approval with the one stipulation that the existing building either be moved off site or moved on the site so that it would meet the setback requirement. And I understand that that building has been sold, and they do intend to move it this spring. The Plan Commission made the stipulation that it be moved within 1 year of City Council approval, and the staff concurs with that recommendation.
Thank you, Sarah. Is there anyone else to speak to the issue? If not, then we'll close the public hearing and go to council action. May I have a motion then to approve the ordinance number 06-30? So moved by Alderman Giselbeck. Is there a second? Seconded by Alderman Wilson. Any questions or discussion?
Now, that also requires that, that building be moved according to the planning commission, right?
Right, and that's the proposed ordinance that you have in your packet shows that stipulation.
Sarah, is it not true that probably within the next couple of years, we're going to see most of that property around there going to probably a C3? Is that correct? Is that what?
Probably.
We'll just hand
You
along
mean
piece-
along First Avenue North, I would expect.
Along 19th?
Right.
On that side.
Well, not all of it, I mean, depending on how far north you go, but right in that particular location.
Okay.
Any other?
And issues have been sent out, the neighborhood knows about all the issues,
Yes.
correct? And we've had letters back or no?
No
Okay.
comments.
All right.
Is that a former church building?
Yes, the church has moved into another building to the north.
That's the former Prairie Lakes Baptist Church, and they moved up to the former Songmister Funeral Home, so,
Right.
yeah. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 4 is the ordinance number 06-31, amending Title 21, regulating zoning and subdivision. And Sarah?
Yes, this, that's exactly what it is. Ordinance amending Title 21, revised ordinance of the City of Watertown regulating zoning and subdivision.
Very good. And then we'll go to the public hearing. Sarah, would you like to begin with that?
Sure. We've received a few inquiries and we had some issues that we wanted to take care of just within our own housekeeping type issues with the Title 21 for zoning and subdivision. And so we lumped a few items together and those are listed in your packet. And I can go through, first of all, we wanted to add a few definitions which were missing. Clinic, we're adding, is a human, medical, or health-related office. We added development lot agreement, also known as DLA. It's an agreement joining one or more lots together as one parcel for the purpose of development. DLAs must be signed by the Plan Commission or its designee. An office, which is a room, set of rooms or building where the business of a commercial, industrial, professional person, or clinic is conducted. And subdivision, a division of any tract or parcel of land into two or more lots, sites, or other division for the purpose, whether immediate or future, of sale or building development and includes re-subdivision. This definition does not apply to the conveyance of a portion of any previously platted tract, parcel, lot, or site if the conveyance does not cause the tract, parcel, lot, or site from which the portion is severed to be in violation of any existing zoning ordinance or subdivision regulation applying to such tract, parcel, lot, or site. And this, all of these were missing from our basic definitions at the front. We're also adding a special exception in the R1 single family residential district to allow for an office in an existing structure. And this specifies that the structure was not originally designed for human residence and it specifically excludes new construction. And so the purpose of this is to allow like an old church building which isn't being used as a church anymore but it's in the residential neighborhood to be used for an office. And being a special exception, it would see review by the plan or by the Board of Adjustment for any type of use that would need a building permit to alter it.
That also opens up the opportunity for a public hearing and comment by adjacent property owners.
It's not something that would be allowed outright, and we certainly didn't want to encourage office buildings in the residential single zone. These are for existing buildings that weren't built as homes. They're there, and then they could be utilized for something other than a home with that special review. We also added a couple of special exceptions in the C2 zone, which is the local commercial district. We added assisted living centers and clinics. Okay, then we made a couple of minor changes to the height and placement regulations. And the first change was to allow all 1 and 2 family residences, except at the lake, but all the other ones, to go to a uniform 25-foot setback. And the way the ordinance is now, some are 30 feet, some are 25 feet, and it depends on the date it was platted. And we have, it's confusing, and it's difficult to manage that too. So we're going to a uniform 25 feet all across the board for 1 and 2 family dwellings. And that's where we removed asterisks and then deleted that portion of the text. Then I reused the double asterisks for exempting the tall, non-habitable parts of buildings from the height restrictions. And that's not the parts of the building where you would have people, just like towers and antennas, those sort of things that are silos. They're tall by nature, and there isn't a person in them, so they would not have to hold to our height restrictions in the non-residential zones. Okay, and then there was a slight change in the wording that was underneath the table, just to say that the lake will maintain a 30-foot front setback. And at the lakes, we have the front setback actually means the distance from the structure to the lake. It's not to the street. We didn't want to touch that and make that any smaller. So that I just added shall maintain a minimum setback of 30 feet at the lake. And then the final changes were removing the old definition of subdivision, which was kind of buried in the language of the text, and it wasn't the definition we liked. And also we removed the old filing fee language, which has since been replaced, and we just hadn't taken that old stuff out yet. And those are all the changes.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak to the issue? If not, then we'll close the public hearing and go to council action. May I have a motion then to approve ordinance number 06-31?
Yeah, for discussion's sake, I'll so move.
Motion by Alderman Garnos. Is there a second? Seconded by Alderwoman Walder. Discussion.
On the lake setback, I assume that the existing residents are grandfathered, all grandfathered in.
Right. It's always been 30 feet at the lake. We're not changing the lake.
Oh, okay.
I added that in there because lake was all platted and fell into the time period which had the 30-foot setback. So that stays the same.
Then, Your Honor, if I may digress for a moment, I had a phone call last week from a constituent asking that we speak into our mics more, not so far away, because the hearing is just about impossible for some older folks.
Well taken, Gordy. Okay,
Sarah, on
Yes.
the lake properties,
That goes for you too, Brad.
they can hear me. We're measuring it from the platted, from the lake, and from the plat lines of what's out there are different things.
Well, actually the property line at the lake is the ordinary high water mark, which can vary if your shoreline erodes. So, this is determined by the elevation of the lake.
So
So that would have to be surveyed, and most
Okay.
people, they don't plot that on a map because it changes.
all right, so we're going to base that on surveys.
Right.
All right.
any other questions? If not, then all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 5 has been moved to the next council meeting. We move on to item number 6, consideration of bids received for the 2007 supply of certain street maintenance materials. And Dave Peterson?
Good evening. This is a rebid of some of the materials that we either didn't get a responsive bid on, or we didn't get any bids on at all in a previous bid. The first items are the hot mix and the cold mix asphalt, and we received one bid from McLaughlin and Schultz. The bid prices for the hot mix are up $6.50 a ton from last year's bid, and $7 a ton for the cold mix from last year's bids. The pit run, crushed rock, rock chips, and pea gravel. We only received one bid on that, also from McLaughlin and Schultz Incorporated. Those prices vary from being down 10% to being up 17.9%, with most of them being in roughly in the 10% above what they were last year. And the final items we bid were manhole frames and covers. We received one bid on that from Municipal Castings of Madison, Minnesota, and all of the items on that are up $10 each. And we recommend that you approve these bids to the only bidder and the low bidders for all of these items.
So you'd like a motion then to approve the low bids and the only bids for these street
Yeah.
products? Okay. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that
So moved by Alderman Meisenheimer, seconded by Alderwoman Arbogast. Any further questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 7 is the revision to the planning and zoning fee schedule. That's resolution number 07-01. And Rick?
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, members of the council. We talked, you might recall at Public Works, for those of you that joined us at that committee meeting, we talked about these items first on November 28th. Then we brought it to the council just as a brief introduction on December 4th. Had one item come up with regard to plating fees in our joint jurisdiction for plating in Connington County. We addressed that at the Public Works meeting on December 12th. We bring to you now resolution 07-01 to revise that schedule of fees for administration of Watertown zoning and subdivision ordinance. Recall that last year, about this time, is actually the resolution number 05-62 or 63. We established these fees for the first time. The changes that we're talking about this evening, again, the final plat review fee is an add that we discussed at the Public Works Committee, and brings their recommendation. Our final plat review fee for plats that are annexed into the city or that are already into the city is $100 plus $5 per lot with a $150 minimum. We are suggesting that in the county, in that area of joint platting jurisdiction, to encourage platting. And actually, what could happen if we maintained that same plat fee, we could actually have, for those people in that 3-mile district, they could actually end up paying the city's fees and then the county fees, and we thought that that was perhaps unfair and might discourage people from platting. So we are suggesting, as did the Public Works Committee, that we reduce that by half. We also added a fee for vacation of easements, just to clarify that. We've also added in there a similar fee for petitioned right-of-way vacations for clarity's sake. Slight revisions in terms of how we have structured accessory structure permits. Note that'll be, the fee is the same, just a little bit of clarity in terms of an accessory structure like a small tool shed less than 200 square feet. That fee for placement review will be $20. Would also include, if that has to be moved from a site from town, that would also include the moving fee for that. Moving permit is typically designed for larger structures, and we had some changes there in the format from our last one, from our last attempt at this in 2005. And we are suggesting that moving permits for large structures would be a $25 fee. Recall last year that was set at $125 or $150. We heard a little feedback on the negative side on that, and suggest that we change that back to $25. Just from a clarity sake, we also suggest, and this is kind of where the confusion came in last year, and I think this is going to help. We are suggesting a relocation investigation fee. That's for a home or a structure that's been previously occupied in the last couple of years. Our ordinance requires that we do that investigation, and that the property owners within 300-foot radius of where this previously occupied structure is going to be placed, be notified. So there's quite a bit of work that goes in with that, and we're suggesting a $100 fee for that, which is kind of consistent, or very consistent with the level of effort and the fee structure that we've established now for Board of Adjustment actions. We also suggest that in terms of billing the applicants back for the actual filing and recording costs, providing flexibility in our resolutions to set the city or the Register of Deeds, if they are so inclined to do the billing for us, we would have that opportunity established. And this all comes with the recommendation of the Public Works Committee on November 28th and December 12th.
Thank you, Rick. Is there a motion for the approval of Resolution O-7-01?
So moved.
So moved by Alderman Giselbeck. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Johnson. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 8 is the establishment of base valuations for building permit fees, Resolution number 07-02. Rick?
Thank you, Mayor. This issue also came up, and we would discuss this at the Public Works Committee on November 28th. Resolution 05-63, you might recall, established a new set of building permit fees. So we got a brand new structure. We did that last year. That will remain unchanged. And actually, what the valuations and the methodology for computing what is the value of a residential structure, that will actually remain unchanged. We're adding this resolution number 07-02 to formalize a procedure that we've had on the planning and zoning wall for probably in excess of 10 years. The paper is yellow. It's been there so long, and just appropriate to talk about that and establish it like other communities do by resolution. Ken Buchholz, our building official, reviewed our valuation methodologies compared to communities like Sioux Falls, Brookings, Mitchell, Aberdeen, and Yankton, and found that we're very consistent at our current values. For example, a 1,500 square foot house with an unfinished basement of 1,500 square feet and a 30 by 36 foot finished garage, we would value that for the purpose of entering into our building permit fee schedule at $126,000 and change. The other communities would value that at somewhere $133,000 to $167,000, so we're definitely in the ballpark there. The fee that we would charge would be $500, which is in the middle of the range of those other 5 communities, which range from $439 to $558. So that's why we feel pretty good, I think, as did the Public Works Committee, that we're on the right page here, and suggest that you, as a council, adopt this base valuation structure, and then with our intent to at least take a look at it, not necessarily change it, but take a look at it every year.
Very good. Thank you, Rick. Is there a motion then for the approval of Resolution number 07-02? So moved by Alderman Wilson. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Alderwoman Arbogast. Any discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item 9 has been withdrawn. The person that's going to come and address the council could not make it this evening, and they requested to be moved to the next council meeting. Moving on to item number 10 is the authorization to write off uncollectible ambulance accounts receivable. And Tracy?
I don't really have any presentation for you. You have a copy of the list in your packet, and this is consistent with the new policy that the council adopted here a month or so ago.
Very good. Is there a motion then for the approval of the write-off?
So
So
second.
moved by Alderman Solberg and seconded by Alderwoman York. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carried. Item number 11 is a motion to acknowledge a notice of intent to conduct a raffle by the Watertown Red Cross. Is there a motion? So moved by Alderman Walder. Is there a second? Seconded by Alderman Solberg. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 12 is the authorization to approve the renewal of the airport liability insurance policy. And Tracy?
Thank you. This does renew our existing policy for annual premium of $13,300, and that is the same premium we paid a year ago, so there is no increase in that. You've got a copy of the limits under the policy in your packet as well. Generally, for most exposures, it's a $10 million liability limit. So if there are any questions, I'd certainly try to answer those.
If not, is there a motion then to approve the renewal of the airport liability insurance policy?
So moved.
So moved by Alderman Meisenheimer and seconded by Alderman Johnson. Is there any discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 13 is a motion to approve the bills and payroll and authorize payment. Is there a motion? So moved by Alderman Giselbeck. Is there a second? Seconded by Alderwoman Walder. Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 14 is the open. And on the open, if you'll refer to your handout, the two members of the Urban Renewal Board have indicated to me that they no longer wish to serve, and that is Mrs. Corinne Arnold and Gary Young. And Bill Riefenberger has contacted Jeff Geiser from Clifford's and Travis Nelson from the Wells Fargo Bank, who've consented to be on the board with your approval. So I would ask for your approval of Travis Nelson and Jeff Geiser for the Urban Renewal Board. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Alderman Johnson. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Alderwoman Arbogast. Any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Is there anything else to come before the open? If not, moving on to old business. There is no old business. Moving on to new business. Is there any new business to be conducted? If not, is there any liaison member reports? If not, we'll have an executive session this evening, and when we come out of executive session, we will be asking the council to take some action. It's in regards to contract negotiations. And if I could have a motion, please, to go into executive session. So moved by Alderwoman Walder, seconded by Alderman Solberg. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We'll go into executive session.